Hey guys, it's Will from Will'sRushpage. Thanks for joining me today. This is video number 4. Today is January 18th. What I thought I'd do today is talk about Neil Peart, of course, and his books, some Rush boots, some prog metal, and some other items I wanted to show you. This video will be taped, or is recording. It's live right now, but if you miss it or you're jumping in halfway through, I will post it. And it'll be posted on my YouTube page as well. So I'm not feeling great today. I've been kind of depressed this week since the news. And I think with the weather and everything going on, I'm not feeling 100%. So might not be my most exciting video, but let's try it anyway. So yeah, as I said, it's January 18th, and sadly, Neil passed away on January 7th, and the news dropped on January 10th, so a week ago Friday, and that was a hard day for us Rush fans, for obviously the Rush family, the Rush circle, the music industry, the entertainment industry, people who enjoy books as well. Like, it just, the impact alone, it hit me very hard. And I'm sure it hit all of you very hard on the Friday that we found out on the 10th. And then this morning, I was actually listening to a lot of Rush for a couple hours. And I was reviewing some of the work that they've done over the years, and it hit me even harder. So I guess I've had a week to process the events, but just the impact that Neil had in all of those industries that I mentioned, and especially, you know, the lyrics that have impacted our lives, in my case for 40 years, and some of you closer to 50. So Rush as musicians, as a band, Neil as a lyricist, as a novelist, as a traveler, and all the other things that he's ventured into and shared with us over the years have had a positive impact in our lives in many different ways. And I don't know what else to say. I don't want to get choked up, but it's like a friend of mine said when the news dropped about Neil passing, it's like a piece of his youth had died with him. And that's I think that sums it up just beautifully. That's how I feel, is that a piece of myself is gone, and a piece of my youth. And, you know, trying to explain this to somebody who's not a Rush fan, it might be a Led Zeppelin fan, you know, they might have different viewpoints and everything, but we understand. And losing somebody of this magnitude, it has an impact on your life. Just like losing, it feels like losing a family member. And if you've been through that, you know what that feels like. So anyway, not to be sad, I want to be happy and positive. Again, it's 2020, and this was huge news to hit us. But let's be positive and remember Neil, and remember all the awesome shows and books and drum solos and the music of Rush, and so many fantastic things that they've brought us over the years. So I'll tell you a little story. When Rush retired in 2015, I had been listening to them for 35 years, give or take. And a lot of Rush. I mean, obviously I have several pages devoted to them. I've been a collector of their stuff for years, through all of that, and I listened to so much Rush over the years that I missed out on some other types of music. So when Rush retired in 2015, I kind of retired with them at the time and started to listen to a lot of other music. And I started to dig deeper into some other bands that I was familiar with but didn't know that much about. And I started to collect items from those bands in some areas. And I really just immersed myself in a lot of different music. And, you know, at that time, we didn't know if Rush would be back. We were hoping that maybe somebody would have a change of heart. But we didn't know what was really happening, and now we do. We understand that Neil had been diagnosed, I believe, 2.5 years ago or 3.5 years ago. I can't remember exactly. There's a couple of different reports, and I'm not connected to the inner circle, so I don't know. But he had been dealing with this sickness for quite some time. He also wanted to retire to spend time with his new daughter, And you know, I totally respect that. So again, back to the music. What happened was when they retired, I started to investigate some other bands, and I started to look into, first of all, progressive metal. Now, I was a metal fan back in the day when Black Sabbath, Dio, Led Zeppelin, and a few other of the heavier rock bands were, Iron Maiden is another one, Motorhead is another one. A lot of these bands were considered to be heavy metal back in our time, in my time anyway, in the 80s. And the interesting thing is that, you know, now they're more classified as sort of godfathers of metal, hard rock, that type of thing. So the last few years I've been looking at different stuff, and I got into Dream Theater. And it's funny how that happened, because I wasn't really, a friend of mine had said, check them out if you're a Rush fan and you enjoy, you know, long instrumental pieces and intricate time changes and all that stuff. So check them out. So I did. And I actually ended up buying 2 tickets to see them last year in Toronto. And with those tickets came their first CD, or excuse me, their most current CD. So I want to show that to you. For those of you that don't know them, they're a progressive metal band, and this is their new CD that came out last year, Dream Theater, Distance Over Time. So this came with the tickets, and I totally did this on a whim, and sometimes that's an awesome thing to do, because this is an amazing CD, and this turned me into a fan. So I started to dig into their catalog and work backwards, and I'll show you a few pieces that I got. A lot of their stuff I bought, initially I bought digitally, and then I started to collect some of their stuff from Disc Dogs. There's this one, Dream Theater, and I'm sorry, this is Black Clouds and Silver Linings. This is really awesome. There's a third disc on here that's all instrumental as well. And there are some mixes of the songs that are on here as an example, and you Dream Theater fans will know what I'm talking about. The Count of Tuscany. I think I love that song. It is a fantastic song, and I think I like the instrumental version even more, or in different ways. So again, I started to explore Dream Theater. Here's another one, Train of Thought, and this is also an excellent one. And they are a very awesome band. As I said, I'm very impressed with them. They've gone through some changes as well with their personnel over the years that I've recently found out I didn't know. And I know Mike Portnoy was, I believe, their original drummer, and then he left to pursue some solo work. And one of those pieces, this is a new CD that I just picked up, and this is awesome too. This is Liquid Tension Experiment. And this was recommended. I started to read about Dream Theater, and I started to read some reviews, and I just started to discover some of the side projects that were taking place. This is really awesome. This is it almost feels like metal jazz in some ways. And I understand from a couple people on Facebook that there's a second one. There's another one, part 2, and then there's some live recordings as well. So you know what, check this out, because I'm really enjoying it. I've only listened to it once so far, twice, and this is really awesome. So that being said, I wanted to share that with you. I've got a few other things that I wanted to share with you also, but I actually I made a list of things to talk about, and I jumped ahead a little bit. I wanted to, before we get into some of the other stuff, let's go back and talk about Neil a little bit more. I wanted to talk about his books. So I have a copy, I have several of his books. I have a copy of Ghost Rider that my parents gave me. It means a lot to me because they both signed it, and it was a Christmas present a number of years ago. They're both passed since then, and I've read it twice. It's one of the best reads I've ever read of Neil, and a very dark story and a sad story. And this, you know, when you think about the tragedy that he had in his life at that time, and then overcame, and then resurfaced with Rush, and then had another very wonderful section of their later career, that part of their timeline. And then, of course, you know, for all of this to happen, it's just so sad. And of course, I'm thinking about his family, and I won't get into that anymore. I don't want to get into that in too much detail. So the book I'm reading right now is Roadshow, and Peter, I know you're reading this as well. I'm halfway through. This is a really good read. It's all about the R30 tour and traveling between shows on motorcycle. classic Neil. There's some really interesting stuff in here, and again, as I said, I'm just reading this. I've also got a copy of Masked Rider, and this is his cycling trip in Africa. If you haven't read this, check this out, because it was written in the 90s, and there's some fascinating stuff in here. It is a great travel book, and Neil brings his insight to this and his focus with each situation, and he describes the situations, and some really crazy things happen. So check this out if you haven't had a chance. The other one I have is Traveling Music, and this is actually a really good book too. I wasn't sure what I was getting into when I first started to read it, but I went through it quite quickly, and it's actually a really interesting book. And he talks about a lot of the different influences in different areas of his travels, and the music has, and a lot of little bits of information about the types of music and where they come from, based on his travels. And I'm sorry, I'm looking at the snowstorm here. We're getting a massive snowstorm today, so I'm just kind of watching that. It looks quite nice. And I'm glad I'm not out traveling. Anyway, check that one out if you get a chance. And then this is another book I want to recommend. Now we're talking about books, and this is a book that I bought, I believe, 2 years ago. And it's Jeff Woods, Radio, Records, and Rock Stars. And I don't have the cover here, but this is a fantastic book. And Jeff, I bought one of the first, I don't know, 500 copies or something. Jeff signed this for me and made it out to Will and Will'sRushpage, and said some nice things. He said, Will from Will'sRushpage, to our mutual love of music and Rush. Best always, Jeff. This is an excellent book, and I recommend this. If you don't have it, if you want to know more about it, let me know, and I'll send you a link on where to get it. Jeff is actually going to be doing a 2-hour Neil Peart tribute show, and that's going to be on a number of rock stations here in Canada, and I think it may hit the web or not. Once I find it, I will circulate it for sure. Jeff has actually interviewed Neil once or twice, I believe, and it is one of the best, the one interview that I do have a copy of from his podcast, one of the best interviews that I've ever heard, and it's classic Neil. It's so interesting. So anyway, check this book out if you get a chance. Again, it's Jeff Woods, Radio, Records, and Rock Stars. And look for that broadcast that's taking place, that 2-hour tribute as well. And again, I'll share that out once I get a copy of it. I look forward to that. So yeah, back to progressive metal. As I said, I had been looking into Dream Theater, and if you're a Rush fan, I think you'd enjoy Dream Theater. That's how it was put to me. And I investigated it, and I dig into something. When I enjoy a band or I like something, I really immerse myself into it. And then I start collecting as well while I'm doing that. So check them out. So one of the other things I started to look into also the last couple of years was different types of metal. I started to get back into some other types of metal. I started to investigate death metal, black metal, Viking metal. There's a whole world of metal out there that I didn't know, because back in my day it was just metal, right? Or hard rock, as I said earlier. But I've got a couple things to show you here that are kind of cool. Here are a couple of CDs that I did pick up. This band is called Demons and Wizards. They're out of Germany, I believe, and they were here in Toronto in the summer, and I missed them, unfortunately. They are just coming out with their 3rd CD, but they are very fantasy based. They tell an awesome story with each record. This one is called Touched by the Crimson King, and you can see that there. I'll try and get the glare away, and I'll show you the back. Sorry about that. I'm still getting glare, even though the sun's not out. There we go. And this is a really good CD, so check that out if you get a chance. Here's another one. This band's called Bathory, and the CD is called Blood on Ice. This is quite interesting. I would call it progressive metal, fantasy metal, something like that. You could qualify it as Viking metal. Honestly, sometimes I just, the covers of these different metal CDs and LPs, they catch my eye, and that brings me in. A lot of times that's all it takes to sell you on something, and then you investigate the music. So again, it's all marketing. It's the visual, and it ties into the old LP days, right? So we always enjoy the artwork. We look at the artwork. That pulls us into something to, like, the difference with records is that you've got something to read and look at while you enjoy the music as well. So, but check that out if you get a chance. And here's a band that a friend of mine told me about. They've been around since, I believe, the 90s. They are a death metal band. They're called Amorphous. This, again, I bought this based on the cover. I was looking into Viking metal, winter prog metal, you name it, whatever you want to call it. This one's called Tales from a Thousand Lakes. Now, these guys I didn't know have been around for a number of years, as I said. They're still playing, but this one is super cool. And it's a really interesting, it's got, like, musically, it's very methodical. The time changes are there. It tells a story. Each song ties together nicely. It's a concept album, basically. And I'll show you the back. These are the guys. Now, this is an older one. I think this came out in about 99, if I'm not mistaken. But it's an interesting listen. And I play it quite often because I quite enjoy it. So if you're looking for some death metal for a winter's day during January, check this out because it's pretty awesome. Something like that. Okay, so I've got a couple other pieces that I would like to show you as well. Just checking my list here. I wanted to be a little more organized in my fourth video, but it's all good. Okay, so here's a band that came out of Australia in 1973 called Buffalo. They have about 5 records. They were active from 71 to 77, and this is actually their first 2 records. And their very first record was called Volcanic Rock. I listened to the second record that came with this, which is called Only Want You for Your Body, and it's quite good. But the first record is the best. There's tunes on here, and some of you will probably know this because they're a hard rock 70s band. They sound a bit like Uriah Heep in some ways. Again, the songs are bluesy. There's a blues rock feel to it. And there's some awesome singing on here and guitar work and bass work. They're a 3-piece band as well, which is interesting because they have a big sound. So check this album out. Again, it's called the band's Buffalo. And the CD is called Volcanic Rock. Came out in 73. You can see it on Discogs. And you can probably get one for about $9, give or take. The LP, on the other hand, is quite pricey. When I first started looking for it, I was seeing it in a price range of about $150. Now, I noticed today, I was doing some research, it's out there for about $40. But again, it comes down to quality, how much you want to pay, all of that stuff. Some of the songs on here are Sunrise, Come My Way, Freedom, that stands out, definitely. Till My Death, The Prophet, Intro, Pound of Flesh, and Shylock. There's some really interesting stuff on this CD. Get a chance, YouTube it. You don't have to pay for it. Just go to YouTube and check it out and see what you think, because I think you'll like it. If you like hard rock with a blues feel, this has got it, and some interesting twists within the music. Okay? All right, got another one. Ties into the whole metal scene. This is something I picked up at Walmart a couple of years ago, and it's called The Many Faces of Black Sabbath. Now, the cool thing is, I only see these CDs at Walmart, and they're triple CDs, and they're like, there's usually, as I said, triple CDs. There's 3 CDs in the box. Hang on. Oh, it's falling apart, but there you go. You can see the CDs here. And I'll just take it across. Okay, so there's some really awesome artwork with these, and they're tribute CDs, which is interesting. So what I discovered here was a whole bunch of other bands doing tributes to Black Sabbath. And usually the way these CDs work, because I've got a few. I've got an Iron Maiden one, and I've got a Black Sabbath one. And usually it's the first 2 CDs are covers of that band's music, in this case Black Sabbath, and then the 3rd CD are originals, but that it's music that the bands have created because they've been inspired by the specific band that they're tributing. So They've got, as I said, the third CD's got tracks on there that are inspired by, in this case, Black Sabbath. And you will discover some interesting music. And that will lead you to, if you're like me, you'll discover more bands that you didn't know about maybe. And so I started to look into some of those bands, and it never really ends. And this is why I have a big collection, and I have to keep it under control or I break the bank. Anyway, check this out if you get a chance. I don't know if you see these down in the US. I see them here in Canada in Walmart. And it's the only, again, that's the only place I've seen them. I haven't seen them at HMV. And they're usually on sale for like $8, which is great. Because you've got like 3.5 hours of music here for $8, and it's just a cool thing to have. By the way, I have an Iron Maiden one, as I said. I don't have it in front of me, but I am going to sell it, so it's available on my page and my Will's Rush Page group as well. Anyway, if you're interested in that, it's mint. Let me know, because I played it once. I'm not a super Iron Maiden fan like I was back in the day. But it's meant, it's been played once. So if you're interested, let me know. We can work something out. Okay. Anyway, sharing that, and a slight plug for a sale there. Okay, next thing. This is something I got for Christmas. This I'm very pleased with. This is a 5-album CD package of Dio, and it has, I posted it on my website around Christmas time, and it's got all of Dio's 5 solo albums. There's Holy Diver, there is The Last in Line, and I missed quite a bit of Dio because I only owned the first 2, and I had them on LP and I had them on CD, and these were my favorites, but I missed a bunch. So there's the next one, I can't really, Sacred Menace, I think it is. I can't really read that, but oh, Sacred Heart, I'm sorry, Sacred Heart. And you guys can let me know if I'm just starting to listen to these. I listened to the first 2 several times because I hadn't heard them in years, and they're 2 of my favorites, Holy Diver and Last in Line. But I'm just starting to listen to these, and I'm really enjoying them. So the next one is Dream Evil. Okay, so tell me what you think. Send me your comments and tell me what you think about these. I'm curious to know which ones are your favorites. And this one here, Lock Up the Wolves. So again, the artwork is really quite impressive, and I think if they're in order, or I've got them in the right order, this would be his last solo effort. I could be wrong. So I don't know if you like Dio, but I love Ronnie James Dio. Unfortunately, he passed, I believe, 2007, also from cancer. But I know there's a foundation that his wife has started since. He was a classic metal singer, and I actually didn't know about him until he started to sing with Black Sabbath. And I don't get me wrong, I love Ozzy, but I love the Black Sabbath years with Ronnie James Dio. Those are my favorite Sabbath years, and I think they did some awesome work together. So anyway, send me your thoughts on Dio. I'm always up for conversation, and then we can talk about it in the next video. So I'll throw that aside. Let's see, we've covered the death metal, we've covered the Dream Theater. Okay, I want to show you some of my Rush bootlegs, and I have a lot of Rush bootlegs, and I have them on CD and I have them on digital, but I brought out a few to show you. I've got something here that is a tribute CD, and this is called Subdivisions. I think this came out, I don't know, in the 90s or something. Now this is these are covers, okay, and there's a lot of big people on here doing different tracks. The tracks are Just an Early Warning, Lakeside Park, Limelight, Subdivisions, Different Strings, Tom Sawyer, Bastille Day, Farewell to Kings, The Spirit of Radio, Didax and the Narpeds, if I said that right, 2112 Overture, Temples of Syrinx, and the artists are Sebastian Bach, Robert Barry, Dave Brooks, Dominic Cifarelli, Jeff Feldman, Stu Ham, Daniel J., Randy Jackson, Andreas Kisser, Janie Lane, Mike Mangini, Vinnie Moore, Alex Skolnick, Jeff Stinko, and Kip Winger. Now, there's some interesting, I'll show you the inside, because this is actually, there's some really, really good covers on here. So if you get a chance, I'm sure a lot of you Rush collectors probably have this. I don't know, but I think a lot of you that have extensive collections probably do have this in your collection. So I wanted to share that with you. I've got another couple of boots here that I'll share. This came from my good friend Philip. This is Red Stars of the Solar Federation. This is, I believe, the Montreal 81 show that later became Exit Stage Left. It's, yeah, Montreal Forum, May 81. Limelight, Tom Sawyer, The Trees, Xanadu, Red Barchetta, Free Will, Close to the Heart, Biter, and Snow Dog, In the End, In the Mood. Live recording. Yeah, live recording. It's a sound, I believe it's a soundboard. It is an awesome show. If you don't have this, check it out. Again, there's so many Rush bootlegs. Pretty much all of them are available on YouTube these days, so you don't necessarily have to collect them. But you can hear them out there, and just do a search. They are there. Here's another great bootleg. That actually, this is an unofficial release. Between and Behind Rush. This is a show from 1975, recorded in 75 for radio WWM. This tight and forceful live set captures a long-lived Canadian trio at their progressive best. It showcases several of their best-loved songs. This is an excellent live recording. You just got to EQ it up a little bit, little bass, little treble. You can't see the songs, I'm sorry, from the glare. Finding My Way, it's all their early stuff, obviously 75. Right up, there's material from the first two albums here. Fly By Night's on here, Working Man, Bad Boy, Need Some Love, What You're Doing, Best I Can, Finding My Way, In the End. So really aggressive sound. Neil was with the band at this point, obviously. The guitar playing is very aggressive from Alex. Check this out if you have not, okay? It's a very awesome bootleg. I've got a couple more that came from my good buddy Philip. And this is Rush, Rochester 76. Love it. Here's another one, Rush St. Louis, Missouri 1980. Again, another great show. I've got some more. This is Rush Mirrors. And this is, trying to think, this was 1992. So I guess Roll the Bones tour, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Ghost of a Chance. The Pass is on here. Where's My Thing? Superconductor. Okay, so this is, I guess, Presto tour. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm getting my dates mixed up. Anyway, this is a great show. If you haven't had a chance to check this one out, again, check out YouTube. It'll be there. Here's another one, Diamonds in the Waist. Another excellent bootleg that I own. And recorded live at the Mecca Arena in Milwaukee, or Milwaukee. I think that's a misprint. On the 24th March, 1986. So got to be Power Windows tour. Super awesome. I remember listening to it a while ago. Really enjoyed it. I've got a few more to show you here that I've received from my good friend, again, Philip. Have not had a chance to listen to these, but I will do so this week. This is Rush, Songs for the Bridge. I'll show you that. Very cool. And Philip, I really appreciate you sending me all these boots. I have several piles of CDs on my desk. And one of these piles is my listen pile, stuff to listen to that I need to get to. So yeah, again, thank you. This show is Paris, December 6th, 1977. Check that. How awesome is that? Okay. This one is Boston Music Hall, January 11th, 1979. So you can see I'm a little behind on my Rush bootlegs as far as listening goes. So I've been actually immersing myself in their entire catalog this week. And I actually removed all the music from my iPod and loaded it with all my Rush music, which is digital, live, several other things. I should say live shows, studio releases, and some bootleg material and some other clips and interviews. And I just put nothing but Rush on my iPod, and I wanted to immerse myself back in their music and their lyrics. And it's been a very moving experience for me to do that, especially this week in light of the news of Neil. And but it's also allowed me to recapture all those moments, the impact of those lyrics and everything that Neil wrote, and everything that Rush has done for us musically. So I've been listening to Rush all week long. and it's been wonderful. I gotta say, I missed a lot of that stuff, and it's sad that something like this had to happen for me to do that, but I guess that's how life works. So we move forward. Okay, got a couple more. I just shared that one, the Boston Music Hall. I think I shared, this is Hemispheres, 79. I think I shared that one, but I'll share it again. All right. And the last bootleg I want to share with you is November 2nd, 1981 at the something conference center. Let's check that out. Brighton Conference Center. And so this looks like a really nice looking Exit Stage Left tour bootleg. You can see that. There's the disc. And there is disc 2. So I look forward to listening to these. And again, thank you, Philip, for those. So once I listen to these, I'll probably post them up and review them. I may put some of them on my YouTube page. I don't really see a need to do that because there's so much Rush bootleg material out there on YouTube now to listen to. But hey, you never know. If the mood strikes me, I might do that. So we covered the death metal stuff. I'm just looking at my pile of stuff here, and I think I've been through everything that I wanted to share with you guys today. I wanted to talk about Neil, obviously. Again, we talked about Buffalo, the Volcanic Rock, 1973. Check that out. And I think that pretty much sums up today's video. I want to thank you. I see a few of you guys joined me. So Les, Robert, Greg, Frank, Al, thank you very much for, and another Robert. Thank you guys for sharing or joining me today, I should say. As I said, I'm not feeling 100%. So thanks for listening and bearing with me. My next video, I've got a couple of points here. My next video, I'm going to share with you my Neil Young collection and my Blue Oyster Cult collection. I've got a pretty extensive collection of both, more so with Neil Young. I have a lot of his CDs, if not all. I've got several of his LPs, and so we'll talk about Neil and Blue Oyster Cult. I'm not sure if you guys like BOC, but I saw them live. I've seen Neil live many, many times over the years. But let's talk about that, and I'll show you some of the stuff that I've got with Blue Oyster Cult, and I'll show you my copy of Year of the Horse. I've got that on CD, as well as Mirror Ball, Neil's collaboration with Pearl Jam. Excuse me. And we'll check that out. So, and again, Blue Oyster Cult, we'll talk about all that next time. So again, I'm Will's Rush Page. You can find me on, obviously, Facebook. I'm on Twitter. You can find me on YouTube and now on Instagram. I accidentally activated a Will's Rush Page Instagram account. So I've got like 100 followers already. I got one photo out there, just a photo of Neil from the early days, a tribute to him. So follow me there. Peace for 2020, and thanks for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.